Welcome to Science and Me. For the first episode of Science and Me, we will be talking about Newton's cradle and answering the most asked question, which is what happens when one sphere at the end is lifted and then released. But before that, let us first discover some facts about this device. So I think most of you already has an idea what Newton's cradle looks like. Newton's cradle has 5 small silver balls hung in a perfectly straight line by thin threads that attach them to 2 parallel horizontal bars which are in turn attached to a base. There is much confusion over the origins of the modern Newton's cradle. Marius J. Marin has been credited as being the first to name and make this popular executive toy. However, in early 1967, an English actor named Simon Prebble coined the name Newton's cradle for the wooden version manufactured by his company. Even though Sir Isaac Newton did not develop the science behind the cradle, he still gets name credit because the physics behind the cradle is derived from his law of motion. Newton's cradle demonstrates the principle of the conservation of momentum. This principle states that when 2 objects collide, the total momentum of the objects before the collision is equal to the total momentum of the objects after the collision. Newton's cradle visualizes an elastic collision since both the momentum of the system and the kinetic energy of the system are conserved. And now for the most awaited part of this video, the answer of the most asked question. So what happens when one sphere at the end is lifted and then released? So when the ball at the end or the first ball is lifted and then released, it collides with the second ball, resulting for the first ball to stop, but its momentum is not lost. It is just transferred to the second ball, then to the third, then to the fourth, until it reaches the very last ball, and the very last ball swings into the air with nearly the same momentum as the first ball. So it is just the same if 2 balls are lifted into the air on one end of the Newton's cradle and then released, then 2 balls on the opposite side will also swing in response. So that's it for today. I hope you learned something, and stay tuned for the next episode of Science and Me.